All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 technical update briefing for September. Just a couple of quick housekeeping updates first. We will be recording this call. During the call, all attendees will be muted. And also the chat is currently turned off. However, there is a Q&A button or pane for you to use to ask questions. So feel free to ask questions as we go throughout the webcast here. Today, our call here will be hosted by myself, Ryan Anderson. I'm a senior customer engineer and focus on Power Platform and Dynamics 365. I'll be presenting the Power Platform and customer engagement apps content. We also have Madan Sampath. He'll be doing the moderating and answering any of your questions in the Q&A. Madan is a principal customer engineer and also focuses on Power Platform and Dynamics. And then we also have Tom Stump, who's also a principal customer engineer and focuses on Dynamics 365 Finance and Ops. And he will be doing both the presenting and the moderating on the Finance and Ops side. The slide deck will be posted on our blog, and we'll try to put that link in the Q&A or in the chat here sometime during the call, so you can find the slide deck there. You'll also be able to find the recording of this call out on the blog article after the call, or maybe it might be a day or two before that gets posted. So with that, we'll jump into our content for September here. And we'll start with the featured news. So first off, just wanted to highlight some of the on-demand events and the upcoming events that we have that will be covering Power Platform and Dynamics. The Powerful Devs Conference is the recording of that conference is still available on YouTube. So if you haven't had a chance to review that yet, please do so. The recording is out there for that. We also have the Microsoft BizApps sessions that are on demand now, and so you can go back and review any of those sessions that were part of that delivery. And then also we have upcoming the Microsoft Ignite, which will be October 12th through the 14th. So you can go ahead and get registered now. That is both live in person and digital. I think there are kind of spots limited there if you're planning on being in person, but make sure you register for that. There'll be a lot of great content as usual at Ignite. So let's talk a little bit about updates, service updates on the Power Platform and Dynamics. First up, we want to talk a little bit about deprecations and retirements that are coming up. There are a few kind of major ones, I would say, that you want to be aware of here. Here in September, we had the deprecation of the Power Apps for Windows. So there is a replacement for that. Upcoming here in October, there's a couple. The Dynamics 365 connector is going to be retired. So if you're using that, you want to make sure you have a plan in place to use the new connector for that. And then also the Microsoft Dataverse Legacy connector is deprecated in October. For both of those, there's a good article that goes through the different options you have for replacing those. It'll depend on which technology you're using those connectors in, and so you'll definitely want to review that if you're using any of those, and that link is on the slide. And then a couple of bigger ones coming up in November. One is the Dataverse OData version 2 service retirement. So if you're not aware of that one, make sure that you're checking environments. You may have got notifications on that. Make sure you have a plan in place to replace that. And then also the data export service. So make sure you have plans there too. There's good playbooks available and guidance on how to manage those retirements. As usual, just kind of understanding updates. Typically, we have the 2 release waves each year for Dynamics and Power Platform, and there's links there in this slide that'll take you to all the information on the release plans. The current release wave is the 2022 release wave 2, and that'll be going generally available here. Actually, coming up soon. I'm going to jump to the next slide. This one actually has the general availability deployment for the 2022 Wave 2 deployment. As usual, this is rolled out over the course of about a month over our different regions. So you can see on this slide, or you can use the link there to go to the main article that goes through the deployment schedule. If you're in regions there in the first kind of row, that actually you'll get the general availability will get rolled out this weekend. So as usual, you have the ability to turn this on in your environment ahead of time in a manual sense. Typically, you can do that in your test environments to make sure you're testing the Wave 2 release. And then in your production environments, you can turn that on here when it's GA. If you don't turn it on manually, this is the schedule that is in place where this will get turned on manually, or turned on automatically. Sorry, in your environments over the course of October. So basically, starting this weekend, it'll get turned on in those regions in the first row there, and then over the course of the month, it'll get turned on in other regions. For North America and the U.S., our largest region, that will come the weekend of October 21st, 22nd, 23rd is when that will get turned on. So be aware of that. There are a few changes that you'll see once that gets turned on. Some UI affecting changes, that kind of thing. So make sure you're aware of those before it gets rolled out to your environment. All right, a little bit on the Microsoft Dataverse service updates. Again, these get rolled out based on region, so we call those stations. And right now, this is the different stations and the update versions. These get rolled out on a continuous basis, usually weekly, and this information is updated every Tuesday on that article that's linked here. So just be aware of the different versions that are rolling out. If you have environments in different regions, you might see different versions on those regions. So just be aware of that. Some environments may be at a different version than others, but they do get rolled out over the regions, and you can see that on that article and what versions are the latest. Okay, on the Dynamics 365 apps, some service updates there. Each one of these apps also has updates, and depending on what app you're using, it can vary based on the deployment schedule. On the Dynamics 365 Sales, typically that's deployed every 2 weeks. You can get more information on the link there. For customer service, typically updated every Tuesday, and then field service and marketing also have various updates. So depending on which app you're using, make sure you're aware of when those updates are coming, and you can drill into those links and get more information on each one of those and what's in each update. On the Power Platform side, there's updates across the different Power Platform technologies as well, and so you can look into each one of those, again, kind of depending on what you're using, both from the Power App side, the Power Automate, the Power Apps portals, and then Power BI. Different updates there. So again, just be aware of those and make sure you stay up to date on the different updates and what's coming for the technologies you're using. All right, and with that, I will turn it over to Tom to start covering finance and ops.
All right, thank you, Ryan. So the first thing that we want to talk about here would be service update availability for the finance and operations apps. So the key thing to note here is the most recent generally available update is currently 10.0.29. That was released in September, so that's available for you to apply to your environment. And 10.0.30 has moved into preview. So if you're looking to take a look at any of the features there, you can definitely get that from the shared asset library within Lifecycle Services and start taking a look at that. So just a reminder here on service updates. You have control over your service updates within the window of 3 versions. So you can be up to 3 versions behind. And then the auto updates, if you have those configured, those will always apply the latest version. And we have basically 7 updates available per year. And if you were to, because it's within your control, you need to take at least 2 of those service updates each year if you're not planning to take all of them. So quality updates continue to be available. Usually each new version has a quality update or 2 available for it. And those are always put out for the current version and 1 previous version. There's a couple of links here at the bottom for you to take a look at so you can see the latest information related to service update availability. And then also you can drill into the updates that are specific to commerce components as well. Okay. All right, so we had a bunch of deprecated features back in August that we talked about, and there's just one that I wanted to highlight here that's upcoming. And this is the revenue recognition feature within finance. This is being replaced by the functionality provided by the new subscription billing feature. So basically, just be aware that the revenue recognition piece is going away. You're not losing functionality, you're actually gaining functionality, but you do need to move over into the subscription billing area in order to for the revenue recognition piece. So I think the key dates here are that April of 23, no more bug fixes or support for revenue recognition. And then October of 23 is where you'll need to be moving over to subscription billing. All right, that's it for deprecations. Pretty short list for us this time around. We'll head back over to Ryan for some product updates.
All right, thanks, Tom. So let's start with Power Apps. All right. So first one that we wanted to mention was the public preview of the Power Apps grid control and model-driven apps. So some new features here. There's inline editing in the grid control and model-driven apps now. So while in the Power Apps grid control can be used in read-only mode to let users view and open records and views and subgrids, this control also has an editable mode that enables users to make edits to records directly in the grid without having to navigate to the form first. So pretty nice. And then also the infinite scrolling, so users no longer need to move between discrete pages of data to browse through the data. Instead, we're providing a modern browsing experience that allows users to scroll indefinitely through data until they find the records that are needed. So some nice features there on the new Power Apps grid control, which is in public preview now. Next up, we have a new version of Power Platform build tools. So we're happy to announce a new version of these tools, Azure DevOps tasks, in our monthly update to the Power Platform CLI. So some of those things are the Power Platform build tools are now based on Power Platform CLI. We have some new CLI commands like to assign user, to automatically generate an app from an API definition, and then also a new CLI command to sync existing solutions from an environment. And so those Power Platform build tools, you can use those to automate common build and deployment tasks related to Power Platform, such as synchronizing of solutions metadata between development environments and source control, generating build artifacts, deploying to downstream environments, provisioning and deprovisioning of environments, and the ability to perform static analysis checks against your solution using that checker service. So if you haven't checked out the Power Platform build tools yet, you can sure do that on the link on the slide. Lots of nice functionality there, especially for those deploying solutions into those environments. PowerFX error handling now graduates to preview. So we're announcing that there was a long uh, experimental feature for error handling on in formulas, and that has moved from experimental to preview. So as a result, yeah, you and your end users will have higher reliability and more transparency about what's happening in those apps. And so you'll be able to see those error messages as you're building the formulas. Now we're changing the default for new apps only. So this gets turned on in new apps only. Existing apps will continue running as they always have. There's no plans at this time to turn this on for existing apps, as it's a big change, and we'll only turn that on for new apps. So this is somewhat with like what Excel does. Which is kind of the inspiration for PowerFX. For an error like division by zero, Excel is very clear that something has gone wrong, and so like with this kind of error handling, you'll see that immediately in the formula. So you can get more information on the PowerFX error handling in that link on that slide. Next up is automatically creating a Power App from a REST API. So with this, you'll be able to create a fully functional Canvas Power App that can be used to explore and validate your service. This feature is surfaced to users as the Power Platform CLI command Canvas create. And so you can download and install that Power Platform CLI, and you'll need at least version 1.17.4. And again, there's more information on the link in this article, but you can automatically create that Canvas app just from your REST API pretty easily with that CLI command. So check that out at the link as well. The next one is around a public preview of IP-based cookie binding in Dataverse. So IP-based cookie binding will help a customer's organization in responding to the cookie replay security threat. IP-based cookie binding blocks the cookie replay attack. It does it by evaluating the IP address attached to the cookie. If a cookie IP address in the request is different than the IP address of the cookie where it was originally created, then the Dataverse API will reject the cookie in real time and prompt the user with a message. So this was rolled out as public preview in August, end of August, and will continue in the month of September and October. And Power Platform administrators can enable the preview feature in environments in the Power Platform Admin Center. All right, next up is another public preview for the Power Platform App Install API. So with this one, we're announcing the App Install API. The public API and tools support opens the possibility for admins and developers to install applications as part of CI/CD automated process using their tool of choice. So again, public preview for this API, and so you can get more information there on the link on the slide. All right, the Creator Kit. So the Creator Kit is something that was published by our Microsoft Power Cat team. It's a collection of fluent UI controls and templates for Power Apps makers to create app experiences. So if you're creating Power Apps, definitely check this out. It can kind of accelerate your creation of those. It's like I said, collection of controls and components in that kit, and use Fluent UI framework to easily create those different experiences. So you can check that out from our Power Cat team to kind of help with your Power App creations. Okay. And next up is the public preview of content security policy for Power Apps. So Power Apps has had the content security policy support for model-driven apps since the beginning of the year, which was configured by running a script as the system admin. But with the new capabilities, you can now control the CSP header for model-driven apps, as well as Canvas apps in the environment in the Power Platform Admin Center. And CSP can be configured in both enforced and report-only mode. So you can now get to those settings within the Power Platform Admin Center rather than having to run that script. So you can see that in the Admin Center and get more information there on the link on the article. Okay, another PowerFX topic, introducing parse JSON. So this one is an experimental release. So this is kind of preview. So this functionality will change. It's put out there right now to get feedback on what it's doing and what kind of you're looking for. But you can use it as proof of concept in non-production situations. And to use the functionality, you need to opt in to this feature in settings. So there's under settings, there's upcoming features and then experimental section, and you need to opt into that to be able to get this functionality available. But with this, you can parse JSON strings and PowerFX into PowerFX objects and types. So, but you need to turn that on first in the experimental settings to be able to use it. Okay, and then like I mentioned before, Release Wave 2, the GA of that is coming up actually this weekend here. So a lot of great features coming within Release Wave 2. This slide just shows a small portion of those. So definitely take a look at these. I believe some of these are the ones that are automatically turned on, maybe affecting user experience. If you look at the second column here, as with all the wave releases, they're divided up in kind of how and who they're enabled for. So you can, if you look at the ones that say users automatically, that means that the feature is for a user. So likely something that will be changing in the UI, and they're automatically turned on. So as soon as the Release Wave 2 is enabled in an environment, that feature is turned on. Some of the other ones, like the very first one there that says users by admins, makers, or analysts, that basically means that the feature is for a user, but needs to be turned on by an admin, maker, or analyst before it's enabled in the environment. And then other ones are for admins, makers, marketers, and analysts, but those are turned on automatically as well. So you can, if you look at that enabled for column, you can kind of divide them all up that way. Again, the Release Wave 2 covers everything from October here all the way through April of next year. So it's not everything in one big bang. Things come kind of throughout the Release Wave cycle. But a lot of these that it shows general availability in October, that means that that'll get turned on as soon as it gets enabled in your environment. Okay, so let's move on to Power Automate. First up on Power Automate is the newest Android mobile app. So there's a new Android app for Power Automate. Has some improvements here, some quicker response times, improvements to login issues, and easier navigation. So if you're an Android user, make sure you get that app. You can do that with the QR code there, and make sure you're using the latest version. We have 10 new independent publisher connectors for this month. Again, these are connectors that are developed by independent publishers that you can see here. There is it's kind of a certification process that goes through on the Microsoft side. But all these are new or updated independent publisher connectors, typically to other applications, technologies, external environments, that kind of thing. So if you're using any of those, make sure to check that out. And then again, the release wave 2, like I mentioned, the release wave 2 covers both Power Platform and Dynamics. So there's releases and features that are coming on the Power Automate side as well. So again, this is a subset of those. Similar concepts, shows if there might be a public preview or early access, and then general availability, and then also kind of who and how those different features are enabled for. So you can check out the one specifically for Power Automate here. All right, on to Power BI. We have a few features to go through here as well. The first one is around Power BI paves the way for smooth Azure Analysis Services migration. So we're committed to helping our Azure Analysis Services customers unlock the capabilities of Power BI as a superset of Azure Analysis Services through a smooth migration path to Power BI. So as part of that, we're announcing here that Power BI has reached yet another capability milestone with the introduction of explicit dataset write permissions. So you can get more information on that from the link here on this slide, and to help with those migrations for Azure Analysis Services. Up next, updates to Microsoft Purview DLP policies in Power BI. So data loss prevention policies help govern sensitive information managed in the Power BI tenant and comply with different regulations. Right now, we're happy to share a couple of new enhancements on DLP policies, and those are CPU metering for DLP policy evaluation, and then also overriding policy tips and reporting false positives within that as well. So some new features there that you can check out. Next up, public preview of multiple audiences for Power BI apps. So this is a highly requested feature from the community, and with multiple audiences for an app, Power BI app authors can create multiple audience groups within the same app and assign different permissions to each group. So prior to this feature, to create multiple apps for different audiences, the app authors had to set up different workspaces to register apps for each audience. So with this, you can set up multiple audiences for an app and then assign those different features. Next up is what's new in Data Mart. So definitely some new updates here. If you're interested in this, I would definitely recommend reading the whole article here. Data Marts are a preview feature in Power BI Premium that enables self-service users to securely collect, store, analyze, and share their data in a unified low-code solution. All on a web-based experience. So at the same time, data marts provide an auto-generated data set, enabling downstream data visualization and analysis that Power BI for Power BI reports. So check out those new enhancements to data marts there. Next up is a Power BI component for Vue.js applications. We're announcing that a new component for embedding Power BI content in Vue.js applications is available. This is an increasingly popular JavaScript framework for building front-end user interfaces and websites. And our new component for it makes it possible to embed Power BI content in your application in a very simple way. So if you're using that, make sure to check out that new capability. All right, introducing AAD-based filtration for Power BI data marts. So we're announcing Azure Active Directory-based filtration to Power BI Data Mart preview tenant setting, enabling Power BI service admins to limit the ability to create data marts to certain groups or individuals. So providing more capabilities here for admins to help manage that. All right, on the on-premise gateway, there's an August update for that as well. So if you're using that on-premise gateway, make sure to check out the August update and go through the different updates there. And then lastly, again, on the Wave 2 release, there are updates and features for Power BI as well. So very similar to the others here, different features, how they're enabled, and then the schedule for those releases. All right, and next up are Power Virtual Agents. So we have a few different things here. The Power Virtual Agents now support 4 new preview languages: Czech, Finnish, Greek, and Thai. Those are in preview right now, but those are available to use within Power Virtual Agents right now. And then again, here are some of the features that are as part of Release Wave 2 that are specific to Power Virtual Agents. So check those out as well. All right, and I think we have maybe one item on Dataverse and Dynamics in this section, and that is searching and finding Dynamics 365 records within Microsoft Search. This search will include Dynamics 365 records when you search for information such as on Bing.com or Office.com and SharePoint. This makes it easier for users to find the most relevant customer and business data information stored in a Dynamics 365 environment. Where they can work without having to change the context or log into an app to find records. They need to do their work on a daily basis. So that kind of information will start popping up for those with correct permissions, of course, and when you're searching for those things on in different areas. Okay, that takes us through those product updates. So I'll hand it back over to Tom.
All right, here we go. Back over to finance and operations. So some features coming in the finance and operations space that are that we want to let you know about. The first one here is around the export to Azure Data Lake feature set, and this is currently in public preview. No set general availability date on this one just yet, but basically adding to the feature set where we can the current feature set involves being able to select which tables that you want to export out to your data lake, and then have that data flow into your data lake. Right now, you do not have the ability to include certain field types like memo or XML. In the future, what this feature will add is the ability to include large field types like that. But then also, and maybe even more important, is if you're exporting data from certain tables that you need to report on, you can exclude sensitive data. Take a social security number, for example, from a table, or other sensitive type of information that you don't want to be out on your reporting platform. So again, this is public preview and GA has not been set for it yet, but something to look forward to from a reporting perspective there, additional flexibility. Okay. Kind of in that same reporting space, an exciting new feature here that is, again, in public preview is the ability to, if you're a user of both finance and operations and customer engagement apps, being able to export your data to the same data lake and report off of it, kind of in that one report off of it and manage it in that one single location. That's what this feature is going to give you. And then you can use a common set of tools, Azure Synapse, pipelines, Power BI, that kind of stuff, and then report off of that stuff, your data all in one spot. So something to look forward to there for those using multiple Dynamics 365 apps. Okay. So those were a couple of kind of more platform-based features. Now we're going to dive into a few things that are app specific, starting with finance. So a new finance feature here that should be generally available here just in September into potentially October. But basically, it's the Globalization Studio is it's a no code, low code um, studio geared toward assisting customers with things like tax compliance and other globalization types of things that need to happen within the application. So out of the box, you get tax compliance and globalization content for 44 countries and regions, and that will expand in the future. It's also a place where you can configure and set up integrations for globalization microservices, and integrations kind of a hub for integrations for other ISV solutions that will be coming in the future. So something to look forward to there with respect to globalization features kind of showing up in that one hub for you to work on. Okay. In the supply chain management area, a couple of callouts here related to the 10.0.29 release. When you update to this release, you'll see a number of different features move from one state to another. So just to kind of go through that, we have a few different states that a feature can be in. Once it moves out of preview, it moves into general availability. And then after a period of time, moving from general availability, where the feature is available but not activated, it moves to an on by default state, meaning if you don't manually disable it, it will be on. And then eventually, after it's been in the on by default state for a while, it will move to a mandatory state. So the thing that probably is most important are the on by default and the mandatory components here. So a bunch of different features, just taking a quick look at inventory and logistics, for example. We have 33 features moving from on by default into the mandatory state. So if you had a feature that was on by default, you manually disabled it, you update to 10.0.29, it will actually be enabled for you. Same thing, another one that can catch people off guard is when they move from GA to on by default. So just the process of updating the application will change that subset of features to be in an enabled state. So this is just a summary of different things across the different areas of supply chain management to be aware of when you make that jump to version 29. Okay, commerce. A couple of things here. The first one is enabling the self-serve diagnosis capabilities for the POS sign-in. So historically, when people have had issues signing into a point of sale, those issues they're usually configuration related, data related, things like that. And we haven't had the best messaging or issue identification in the past. So we're kind of enhancing the abilities of the POS, identifying and providing better guidance through that POS. So the idea here is that one of the features here is the ability to do a test logon from within the commerce headquarters, and then enhanced error messages at the POS itself. So that's in public preview and will be coming in the November timeframe. And some more globalization features for commerce that are moving into an on by default state with 10.0.29. So these are moving to on by default just to kind of speed and simplify the setup for customers who are needing these region-specific, country-specific settings in place. So it's a pretty long list. of things to take a look at here, but just be aware that these are now on by default. All right, back to Ryan for the Learning Corner.
All right, thanks, Tom. Yeah, so let's jump into the Learning Corner, which is provide some kind of different links for maybe a blog article and maybe some learning videos. It could be some various things, but to start with, we wanted to call out this Microsoft Power Platform Stories, which is kind of a set of stories or articles that's curated by our PowerCat team. The nice thing about this is that there's kind of an index that goes along with this, so you can kind of drill into the areas that you're interested in. You can, drill into by industry or company size or scenario categories, those kind of things, and get some stories that kind of showcase the ingenuity of individuals and organizations that are using Power Platform in a low code way, along with Azure or Dynamics 365, all to digitally transform their business. So definitely check that out and get some ideas on how others are using the Power Platform in their environments. All right, next up is a collection of YouTube videos around the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. And so if you're not familiar with the Center of Excellence, it's basically or the kit, I should say. It's a collection of components and tools that are kind of designed to help you get started with developing a strategy for adopting and supporting the Power Platform, with a focus on Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. So a solution that you can add to your environment to help you get started managing Power Platform. So this collection of videos goes through setting that up and how to get that going in your environment to make the best use of it. And then next up is extending modern commands with custom pages and geospatial mapping. So this is a great article that goes through a really nice example of this. I believe in the article it kind of goes through an example of, if you had a set of clients that you needed to visit on a certain day in a certain area, how would you best plan your trip to visit those, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty interesting example of how this could work in your environment, and you can take that and build on top of it. So definitely check that one out as well. And then next up is the Power Platform Administration Planning. So this is a simple solution that's designed for helping you plan your team structure and reviewing where you spend time and look for automation and innovation opportunities. So this solution is built on the Microsoft Dataverse and is a standalone component for the Center of Excellence starter kit. So if you're using that already, this is a great tool to add as well. So definitely check that one out. It's a good article that goes through the information on how to deploy and use that. The next one is an article around how to use actionable messages in Outlook with Power Automate. So you can send an actionable message and then actually get a response. So this is kind of some cool functionality. It makes Power Automate makes it easy to send those messages to teams, but you can also get a response and from a Power Automate flow in an email. So kind of some cool stuff there, and the article goes through explaining how to manage all that and how to use that functionality. And then lastly here, just a list of from our PowerCat team. They do some great videos they post over on YouTube around the Power Platform. Of kind of various set of topics here, but make sure you're checking that out and reviewing those. Some really good information there on how to manage the Power Platform and use it best. All right, Tom, back over to you.
All right, just a couple of things. The Fast Track team is continuing to produce different sessions, tech talks, and this month is no different here. There's a couple actually, I believe, today on engineering change management, which yeah, coming up. Yeah, that is today, and then commerce mass deployment. So kind of looking at different commerce components and how to manage the deployment across multiple different places. And then inventory visibility. So the inventory visibility add-in, there's some great information coming about that as well. So take a look at the list here. Some good sessions coming up today and then in through October. So all of these sessions are also recorded, and a few sessions just to call out that were recorded in the month of September that you can now view on demand. The subscription billing series has continued. There was another session on that September 7th. And then also product changes using engineering change management. A couple of sessions there to look at, especially if you're with the deprecation of revenue recognition, or if you're kind of moving more into a subscription billing type model. Definitely check out the subscription billing series itself. And that is about it for finance and operations community content there.
All right, thanks, Tom. And that wraps up the technical update briefing here for September. Again, you can get the slides that we just went through in the blog article. I believe Madan put that over in the chat as well. You can get more information just in general about our team on both those different blogs, one for customer engagement and one on the finance and ops side. There's a short link there for the technical update briefing content. We'll get the recording of this posted out there in the coming days. And then also you can connect with us on Twitter as well. And we usually post information on our new blog articles and different things there as well. So for myself and Tom and Madan, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for the questions in the chat. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.